There was a time when I sold my shares in a company and then the money hit my bank account, and it happened, but it had the most underwhelming effect. I expected joy. I expected like what people do, they have parties and they celebrate and they pop champagne, but I didn't. I was just numb to it. So this is what it's like. That's it.
When the money hit your bank account, you actually felt nothing. So can you share with us, what is one lesson that every Malaysian need to know about money? Today, before we start, this episode is being brought to you by Volvo Malaysia. And by the end of this episode, you understand why this collaboration makes sense. Now, Tim, for most Malaysians, you are seen as one of the most successful entrepreneurs around, right? You have a company that got listed, IPO and stuff like that. And today you're also running another successful company. Now, but you have famously said this one thing, when the money hit your bank account, you actually felt nothing. So can you share with us, what is one lesson that every Malaysian need to know about money?
Oh, okay. So first of all, I wouldn't rank myself as one of the most successful entrepreneurs. I think a lot of people do think that I'm more successful than I actually am, and I always correct that. I say no, actually, I do okay lah, but I wouldn't even rank in the top 1,000, top 10,000 in Malaysia. So I don't even think so in terms of entrepreneurs lah. But anyway, yes, there was a time when I sold my shares in a previous company, and then the money hit my bank account, and I think it's like you're always waking up to that moment, and that okay, once I have that financial freedom, then I'm okay. I'll be happy, and maybe it coincided with a time when I was in the deepest of my depression, and I was telling myself that I was feeling down, but if I hit that amount, then I have one less thing to worry about in life, right? And it happened, but it had the most underwhelming effect that I expected lah. I never expected. I expected joy. I expected like what people do, they have parties and they celebrate and they pop champagne.
Yeah.
They buy stuff, but I didn't. You know what I mean? I was just numb to it lah. I just okay. So that this is what it's like, and that's it.
So tell me, how was it like the day? Like that morning when you woke up, you opened the bank account. Did you have a party plan for the night, or was it anything like exactly how that day looked like to you?
So I was still in denial that it will happen, right? Because like all the agreements were signed and everything, and I still didn't agree. I just still didn't think it would happen until the money hit my bank account. And I remember I was flying back to Penang for Chinese New Year, and then the minute I landed, I turned on my phone, and my banker said, "Your money's in the bank account." Then I opened my banking app and I saw the money was there. That even it's still denied. I still text my banker, okay, the money's there, right? It cannot be taken out already, right? It's there, right? and he said yes. And after that, there was a bit of relief that it was over, but it was also like I expected like what you'd see in TV, something like that, encore celebration, whatever. Personally, but even then, even to my wife, was like, okay, the money's in. Then like, oh, okay. And that's it. And life just went on like normal.
Right.
We bought nothing. We didn't celebrate. Nothing. We just went on like normal. And that's when I realized like, I don't know how much more money will make. I do think a minimum amount of money is very important to be happy lah. So that it removes a lot of stress and it gives you the opportunity to choose. But I think that if we really dig deep inside, that amount of money we need is actually a lot lower than we think it is.
Yeah. And I want to put an opinion on that, right? Because as an entrepreneur myself, we always have this moving goalpost. We probably started maybe not being well-to-do, right?
Yeah.
And you tell yourself that maybe my first 100,000 is good enough. Yeah. And when you hit the 100,000, you start realizing that, hey, it's not that enough. And you start moving the goalpost again, and 500,000, and then 1 million, and then 2 million, 3 million. And we're always in this chase for many people. I think it's not just entrepreneurs, but also people who are working right now that's watching this. Maybe becoming a manager is good enough, and then becoming a director is good enough. And then after director, it's like, hey, is there more than this? Can I be an international level director? Stuff like that. So what would you tell Malaysians that are moving that goalpost and just keep chasing for the next financial success?
I think that my upbringing was, I came from a very well-to-do background. My dad was a working professional, but he's a very successful working professional. So he was a high-earning professional, So I owed it to my father that I didn't have to suffer that much compared to you. I mean, you really had to go through a lot, in your life, But I didn't have that. But where I think I grew up with a lot of insecurity, in spite of that, right? Because I was, number one, I was born with this thing called itosis, right? Where my left eye couldn't open when I was born.
Right.
Like it was very small like that. So then I had to go for surgery when I was 3 years old to go and lift it up so that I can open it. If not, then I'll lose my eyesight in one eye. But in spite of that, my eyes were still not normal. After the surgery, basically one eye was noticeably much bigger and one eye was noticeably much smaller.
Right.
So I looked really odd growing up. And it doesn't help that I have this mole also. That also is odd, right? And in growing up. So I got bullied a lot and all that in school. And I don't know if many guys have experienced this, but this thing has scarred me like as a kid. When I was a kid growing up, there's let's say a girl that I like, you know, and then my friends were like, "Oh, this Tim likes you," you know, and when she found out about it, then you know the expression on her face is kind of like, "Ew," you know, like why he like me, you know, like that, you know, and that stuck with me, you know, that feeling,
Right.
You know, like why I'm embarrassed that I even like someone who's way above my league, maybe, you know. So and that also with me being bullied and everything, and also with me being compared to, I guess, with many people, you know, always felt like I was just not good enough. And I carried that, right, even till today. You know, no matter how much like you said exactly, I hit the goalpost and it's like, it's not good enough. You know, you think this is good. What about your other friends here? They're doing even better than you. And I always have friends doing like 10 times better than me, 100 times better than me. You know? And I actually just posted about it. I asked AI recently, like, I said, I have a lot of self-hate. And it says that, yeah, you know, one of the profound things it said is that self-hate, sometimes we use it, it's good to motivate ourselves to achieve more. But when it becomes an insatiable, means you cannot be satisfied, like this goalpost keeps moving, then at some point that voice inside you will stop becoming someone motivational, but someone just like a lecture that is just making you feel unworthy. And eventually it's not sustainable. Eventually you collapse, you know, mentally, physically.
Right.
So yeah, I think whether it's money, whether it's anything else we want to achieve, success in a particular profession, I think it's, you know, I think we over glorify ambition in our life right now. Like, hey, like that anyway, you're not ambitious enough. Is that all you do? You should go for the best. But I think we under glorify and we under index for contentment.
Yeah. I thought that was very true. I saw this post that you did some time ago, quite recently. It was about getting rejected by girls and how it shaped your belief in yourself, right? And I've gone through an episode like that. Of course, I'm one of the shortest among all my friends. I still remember once I asked a girl out for, I think it was prom or something. And the next thing she said to me was, "I'm wearing heels on that day. Do you know that?" And I was like, "Oh, sharks." Like that, right? And I guess it did kind of shape me a lot, you know, as I was growing up. Like you want to be better, you want to be more good looking, you want to be a bit more successful. And part and parcel, like what you say, was driven by all that. And all these voices mix up together and you're always comparing yourself with other people. Like, I mean, it's the same thing, right? Like whenever people tell me about Mr. Money or anything like that, I always look at someone else and I say, hey, someone else is better than me and someone else is also soon to catch up as me. Right? Like you said, that slap that's waiting to come. And you're always expecting that. Now, to ask you back this one thing, what do you think it's the cost of that? Because you have lived through it. You have eventually achieved what many people consider as a desirable life. Maybe not the topmost, but at least it is something, right? That you can legitimately be proud of. And all that chase, all that sacrifice, and one day when you achieve that and it's still a moving goalpost and it doesn't make you happy, what does that cost us mentally or financially or relationship?
I think that it's important to understand that everything we choose in life, right, has a cost to it, right? So if you have a certain amount of money that's enough already, but you want more, right? The cost of it sometimes could be your time, your mental health, your focus, the risk that you take, the risk that you could lose that money that you even had in the first place, and if we understand that every time we strive for even more, it will take away something else in our life that we are not paying attention to. Maybe my kids will be less close to me, right? Maybe my wife might feel lonely, right? That I'm just not present all the time, and it hit me. My wife recently just said, she said that, I feel lonely. I said, like, what do you mean? I'm around all the time with you. And she said, yeah, but when you're here, you're not really here. You're on the phone, you're always thinking, your mind is just not here. And then she told me this. She said it in a manner that it was not complaining or anything, but she said, look, but I understand. If this is what you want, if this is what you want to chase ambition right now, then, and this is your new normal, I will get used to it. And that hit me, That hit me because I'm thinking, okay, if I make a lot more money right now, or become a lot more successful, or a lot more famous in 10 years, but I lose my wife in the meantime, right? Would it be worth it? The answer is, hell no. It wouldn't be. But she was just very clear about what, she just made me see in her own way, but on my own, right, what that cost was. And since then, I've been like, okay, I got to cut back, which I have been cutting back.
Yeah. I think I saw her did a post the other day. It was about this exactly subject, right?
Yeah.
On you being on the phone all the time. I think yours, she's also not the only one. Another one is Chloe, Anthony's, Grab founder, Anthony's wife, also recently did a post about that like, how do you think being with a successful entrepreneur, and it's just a lot of pictures of him on the phone all the time. And it was the same as Audrey's one, right? Like, you're on the phone all the time. Now, my question to you is this, right? You've gone through it twice this time. I suppose during the days when you were chasing for the first round in Nuffnang days, right? And today at a different level again. How do you then balance between ambition and family? Like, what is enough?
Yeah, I think that I don't have a dollar amount, because I'm fortunate enough that everything I do right now, I don't have to optimize for the dollar amount. Like, all these things with my content creation and everything, like, if I don't get paid for it, I'll still do it. Because it gives me enjoyment out of it. Like, I've done one masterclass. It did well. I'm doing another one in June. I could do one every quarter. I could do one every 2 months. But I'm like, okay, no, after this, I'm done for the rest of the year. Maybe I'll figure out something else to do. But for this kind of personal branding masterclass, I'm done for now. And I think that I can say that because it comes from a position of privilege that I don't have to optimize for money. I feel like, okay, I have just enough and I don't need too much. I just want enough of everything, but not too much of something. And right now I have enough of the career part. But clearly, from what my wife is telling me, I don't have enough of what I'm giving my wife. So if I bring this career part even further, something else has got to give, and is it going to be worth it? If I lose my wife along the way, it's not lah,
Right.
So that's why I'm just kind of step back a bit lah,
Let's put a pin on that, and later we'll come back to Audrey. And I think it's a point that's worth noting for many entrepreneurs out there, and people are chasing their career balancing between relationship and money and family, right? But let's talk about a second venture, which is Colony and Jerry. Yeah. After Nuffnang, did you run Colony and Jerry differently from how you used to run it? Because you had that moment where you realized everything. You went through that period of depression, but yet after you start a new business. And do you run this company now differently from how you run Nuffnang?
Yeah, very differently. Very, very, very differently. Like, I think that in my... Like, Nuffnang at the peak, we had 250 employees, all around the region. And it was fairly significant. But I felt like in spite of that, I wasn't a very good manager. And it's only when I went to Colony I started, and then I had a 7 to 10 man team, and I realized, wow, there's still a lot of politics in this team and everything, even though it's so much smaller. I used to take into account that, okay, my Nuffnang days is normal lah. Politics, every company also got lah. You know, that's normal. But it doesn't have to be normal. You know, it can be done very differently. And so I started reading a lot of books, and then I learned how to manage teams better. You know, I think it's a very long formula, I think, but you know, it comes from to really TLDR is really about like making sure that we all have as a team have purpose, that we have a lot of respect for each other. You know, and I think people always like to say this. People always like to say like, oh, if you're a boss, you're either a boss or you're a friend. You cannot be both to someone working for you. But my consideration is like, does it have to be one or two? Do we have to put even the people we know into these buckets? 2 buckets. Is 2 buckets enough? Is 3 buckets enough? Is 4 or 5? We don't want. It's just unique, our relationship with each other. My colleagues, we don't go out and drink all the time, or we don't have fun, leisure time together, but we trust each other because we're in the trenches together. We know that if you need help, we'll come and help. You know, recently one of them went through a life crisis and, you know, needed help, you know, financially, physically, everything, you know, and we were like, yeah, you know, we're there. What do you need? We provided it, you know. So I feel like that's another thing I learned about like managing teams, you know what I mean? It's really about having some mutual respect for one another and not feeling that you have to bucket yourself into a certain category. Yeah.
And when it comes to definition of success or ambition in running a company, how is that different from Nuffnang days?
I think that it always comes down to one thing lah. You know, in the long run, it's just about free cash flows lah. How much cash flow you make lah. Profit lah, basically, right? But profit can be manipulated lah with accounting and everything. But essentially, what cannot lie is at the end of every month, is your bank account growing or not growing? You know, minus that lah. That's the only thing that cannot lie. That's the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
Right? However you want to account for it, that's a separate thing altogether, right? But it's ultimately that lah, you know? And for that, and that's why I don't see Colony as like very, very, very successful yet. It's something I'm working on, because Colony makes money, but we lose back that money investing in Jerry and all that. So we are growing, you know, but our cash flows have not like, compounded into you know, where our investments into Jerry and all that have paid off so much that it's really grown so much, you know what I mean? Yeah, you know, so I really don't think that, and then we also were investing in Dough by Mac a lot, you know, and which is now a success. We bought it for 1.5 years, and we were every time had to put in more capital every few months, you know, every 6 months or something like that, you know. Can you imagine a business like that? You just bought over and then you had to fund further because we were just not making money, you know, and then suddenly now this year it's like going through the roof, you know.
Yep.
And people see it and they're like, oh, wow. My friends are like, wow, so good. You never asked me to invest. I say, bro, lucky I never asked you to invest. Because imagine the first 1.5 years, you stress, man. If I ask you within a year or so, I'm asking you to put in more money, you know. Lucky you didn't invest, bro. You know what I mean?
I remember the video that you made recently. You said that it was a very flattish sales for a very long time until recently. People started visiting it like crazy, and then Mac herself was like so busy, right? And you're starting to tell people, you know, try not to crowd the place.
Yeah. I mean that success. Credit to Mac. Mac is our partner. Look, I always say that it's like we're partners lah. I call myself the marketing intern lah, right? So I help the marketing, but good marketing cannot save a bad product, and she has a good product.
Yep.
You know, so
the food there is good. Yeah, tried it. What was the dish again? The a bit spicy
XO
one.
Kaitos?
Yes. Yeah, that was damn good. Yeah, you should go and try it out.
Now it's a 1-2 hour wait, you know, bro, to get in.
Crazy.
Yesterday, so I had to queue, and people call me out, and I'm like, they ask me, can you give me a table? I said, I can't even. I line up. I queue up yesterday, man.
Now, going back to the topic about your current business, you mentioned before that you felt like at one point when you were running Colony, you said you kind of like dubbed into running it. In fact, it's not exactly what you thought it was. Can you share with us what do you mean by that? And what was it that you got it wrong that now you realize?
Okay, so I don't think I'm unique to this, right? I think it's very common among entrepreneurs. We always see other people doing well. People will see, Mr. Money doing so well. I should go and start a YouTube channel and do it like that. You know, but only when we do it, then we realize, oh wow, actually not easy. Or maybe I thought Mr. Money wasn't doing a maybe I thought I could do better than Mr. Money, right? But then after I'm inside here, I'm thinking, actually Mr. Money is doing a very good job. You know what I mean? We always do that. We from the outside, it looks easy or easier than we think it is. And we always think we can do better than the incumbent. And only when we go in there, we only have a deeper respect for the incumbent. And like, okay, these guys are pretty good lah. So I said I was duped because in Colony, I went to Singapore and I looked at a lot of co-working spaces there, and they're all doing really well in terms of occupancy. But it's only when I saw the actual numbers 2 years later that even though they were full, they're all losing money because they were not selling at the prices they needed to sell at because of competition and because we're not accounting for customer acquisition costs lah. Yeah, and those two things are huge.
Right.
Yeah. And actually, if you think that's very important, right? Any business you do, like if you can't sell at the price you need to sell it to survive, right? You can't make money.
Yeah. You need economics, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you say, at the end of the day, it's all about free cash flow as well. I guess one thing I do notice about the way that you run company from last time and now, after all the conversation that we had, was also you start to place more important in things that are truly, truly important.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I guess for many people who run their first company, they look a lot at valuation, right? Yeah. Profits and stuff like that. But for you have already come to a stage where all those don't matter. What matters is free cash flow.
Yeah. I never care about valuation, At the last round in 2019, Colin's valuation is very, very high, but you don't see me quoting it because it's unimportant to me, and it really doesn't matter.
I do notice this is one of the common trait with people who are very, very successful as well. At least those who are very successful and I take a liking on and I respect a lot. One of these restaurant owners, if I say the name, probably everyone knows, but I shall not name it too much. But I was talking to him about valuation, and I still recall when I asked him, what do you think your restaurant should be valued at? And he himself told me this one day, he said that, actually, I think now, I think people place too much of valuation here. And then I was shocked, right? I was shocked because hey, you should be happy that everyone thinks that your company is valued so high. He said, it's actually no. He said, I think a little bit too high. So I was like, wow, I never thought I'd see that. But if you ask me, is it profitable? Is it good free cash flow? No, it's very good. In fact, it's one of the best in the market at this point. So it's just that the perspective of it, of what they are looking at, there's some sort of a humility and realism to it. That you're not just believing in something that can always be inflated, but rather preparing for what could be worse to come or what can we further improve, right? Now, having said that, let's talk a little bit about how an entrepreneur or founder should be approaching a business. Now, you yourself went through many years of building businesses. 2 businesses by far, right? 1 IPO listed. If today sits in front of you an entrepreneur who's in the early days of his startup, let's just take me as an example. What would you suggest this person, how would you suggest this person to approach building a business so that you don't end up burning out or you don't end up chasing the wrong things?
I think that burning out is simple. It's really like being able to build a team and let go and empower the team to be able to make decisions so that you can minimize your decisions that you make every day, so that you don't have decision fatigue, right? Looking at where to invest to grow the business, that's the difficult one. It's like capital allocation. The best businesses know where to put their money, and then it will multiply, right? And I think that takes a lot of discipline lah. It takes a lot of discipline because you got to know, sometimes you emotionally think that this idea is very, very good, but you got to be able to do the math and say, I don't really think so. And sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes it's there's no hard and fast rule. Sometimes, how do I tell whether investing in Dough by Mac is going to do well? I can't tell. I couldn't tell. I was just fully betting on Mac. I could have been equally wrong as I am right now. But I couldn't tell. Jerry looked very, very good on paper. If I give you a PowerPoint presentation about Jerry, right, our co-working space, which is the mass market one, you'll be like, yeah, bro, this is it, man. And turns out, it's not it. You know what I mean? So it's I think the capital allocation is what determines the winners from the losers, but I don't think there's a very clear way to get it right. And I don't think everyone who is successful necessarily got it right on purpose. They got it right in hindsight, but not on purpose lah.
Right.
Yeah.
And as for a founder who's looking at a business, right, today striving, really trying to build it hard, like myself like that, right? I think I spend a lot of time like working on the business, and sometimes even at the expense of family, relationships and everything else. Do you think there's a right way of approaching building a business and at the same time having some sort of a balance?
I think that it's very hard to have that discipline to say, okay, I'm going to like, after 7 o'clock, okay, don't say 5 o'clock, okay, after 7 o'clock, I'm not going to pick up my phone and everything. And if this is a business, it's very hard to do that. So I think that every now and then, it will just be like a yo-yo, you know what I mean? We will stray too far into getting consumed with work. And then we need someone like my wife to pull me back a bit and say, hey, I need to come back home. You know, and then maybe then the business will have some problems and needs that will pull me back again. So I think it's always that yo-yo, but willing to listen to feedback lah, from all the stakeholders, my kids, my wife, the people in my business, and then being willing to be flexible and move back and forth lah. I think that's how I would handle it lah.
Right.
I found it very hard to have like, you know, people say, okay, after 9 o'clock, I don't pick up any calls, or I don't work at it.
Yeah.
I can't. Sometimes you have ideas at 9 o'clock. I don't get to choose them.
Yeah, so I sleep halfway, I just wake up and I start writing my ideas down.
Yeah.
And the only reason I write it is because other people will complain if I send it to them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, right? You know, I do that. Sometimes I'll just I'll send an email. Who uses email anymore? But sometimes I just send an email, guys, so don't reply me now. Or if I send a WhatsApp, I'll be like, don't reply me until Monday, but I just want to do it because I'll forget. Right? You get that, right? So yeah, you know.
Yeah. And now, having said about that, I was wondering, is there any way or any signs that we can look for, right, as a founder or as someone who's just purely a workaholic, they could be working for people, right, to know that like, hey, these are certain signs that once it comes up, you may want to take a step back because you will get into a burnout zone soon.
I think one way to tell is not knowing when this intensity is going to end. Like if you're saying that I'm working damn hard because I got this project, and then after that I'm going to chill out a bit, then you know that you're working at a high cadence now, and you will be able to chill out a little bit after that. But if it's never ending, after this you got another one, after this you got another one, and you're constantly at high intensity, right? Then you know that, when is this going to end? And how much longer is this sustainable? And how much more is this going to cost me of everything else I have in my life?
Yeah.
You know, and for me it was like, okay lah, you know, it will end when this happened, and that's when I started cutting back lah, you know. Yeah, and then after that, but in 3 months' time maybe I might be like full on again. But I just need to know, okay, this is full on for now, but it's gonna end. You're working in spurts of intensity lah, you know.
Yeah.
We need intensity. Intensity is just like gets things done very effectively, you know what I mean? Like, and I have ADHD. It's like, so it's a good ability to have, but we can't be intense like all the time lah.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. And for yourself, so your wife Audrey was one that actually reminded you, hey, come back, right?
Yeah.
If let's say I'm not married right now, I'm a single founder, and I am in the business right now, spending all my time there. I don't even know I'm feeling tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some signs that I should look for that will tell me that, hey, it's time to just take a break?
Okay, so I was very bad at this in my early years of business. I was like full on business, right? And I did have me time and everything, you know. And I think I used an excuse because all the older generation always say, when you're young, you just need to work very hard, and that's totally fine, you know. So in my 20s, I was just like, I had no balance whatsoever. It was non-stop working. But does it have to be that way? You know, does it really, really have to be that way? Because honestly, like, it helped me get to a certain level, but I think I could have gotten there without working with that intensity. And I think some of the quality of my work back then was just not very good, or I was spending a lot of time doing work that had very poor returns in the future.
Right.
Like instead of things that I could have delegated out, I'm freaking doing it just for the sake of showing people that I'm hustling.
Right.
You know, I think we have to be very intentional about what we're doing if we're busy, you know.
Now, on the hindsight, when you look back to 2014, 2013, you know, in the early days when you were building Nuffnang, what are some of the things that you look back right now that you were, or maybe I should phrase it the way, right? Now that you look back in 2013, 2014 when you're building Nuffnang, what are some of the things that you realize right now that you actually were blinded to?
Yeah. I worked hard for the sake of working hard.
Tell us more about that.
Because this is hustle culture. Then and especially now, you know, it's like, oh, you need to, you know, you almost take pride in working hard and it's good for Instagram and all that, you know. But really it's like, what work are we doing? That really, really, really freaking matters. You know? So for example, right now I'm spending time with you here, right? I could, instead of spending time here, I could be spending time maybe giving a tour to a potential customer who's looking to take an office and all that, right? Or I could be here. Which one has higher leverage to the whole company? Me closing that sale at maybe 20,000 ringgit out of a company that does tens of millions a year in sales, or me coming here and, you know, doing this podcast with you that would potentially get me like 100, 200,000 views and people paying more attention to my business. Which one? Which one can I delegate and which one can I not?
Right.
Right? I can't delegate this. I can't send anyone else in my place here. And this will have a larger impact on the company than me actually doing that sale.
You're right.
You know? So which one is it? So I think it's, so for me, in my 20s, I'll be like, yeah, let me do that sale, let me do sale. I'll do all that and I also do this. I'll do everything. So I actually don't have to. But I was just doing it because I thought that's what I needed to do.
And when you get into that, just hustle for the sake of hustle, what do you end up losing? Or what's the cost of that?
I think then we stop. Then when we get sucked into it, right? And we stop thinking of why we're doing certain things. Right? We stop looking at the whole macro of the situation and we stop trying to build a process and instead we just get stuck in that. We just get stuck in, instead of building the system, we are working in the system.
I like what you say, right? Instead of building the system, we're working in the system.
Yeah.
Can you share with me, right? Is there anyone around you or any examples that you've seen very clearly? Because you have worked with many people as well, and people come to you and ask for advice. I'm one of them who actually regularly come and ask, hey, Tim, can I have a chat, right? Can you walk me through like maybe someone that you see right now who is doing the exact same thing? They are working in the system instead of building the system. And share with us, how does that look like?
I tell you a clear example of me last time, right? I was in advertising, you know, with Nuffnang and everything. So very often, sometimes my team will have problem with the client. The client will complain, this video is not what I expected or something like that, right? Then my team will come talk to me. Then you know what I'll do? I'll go and call the client. Then the client say, I talk, settled. Within 15 minutes, settled. The client's okay. My team member is happy. And I look like a hero lah. Because you see, you struggle for this for a few days, 15-minute call to the client, I settle it.
Yeah.
Right? What's wrong with this? Who will the client call next time he has a problem?
You.
Yes. And repeat this for every single client then. And not only that, next time when my team member has a problem, do you think he or she will solve it herself or come to me?
Come to you.
Exactly. So I'm creating myself more unproductive work by working in the system rather than building a system and empowering my team to be able to fix that problem on its own.
It's interesting to see how when you focus on short-term productivity, you actually lose the long-term productivity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You do. Sometimes you're really trading like short-term. Sometimes it could be easier for me to just pick up the phone and settle this issue, but it's not about this one issue. You know, and I'm not saying that we should never go on the ground. Once in a while, yeah, we should go on the ground. We should go meet customers if they're big enough, or if sometimes if your purpose is not to close a particular sale, but really to go through the process again to see whether, from this point of view of the person on the ground, there's something need to be changed here.
Yeah.
Then it's fine. You know, like you see, Tony Fernandez likes to tell this story. You know that his in the past I think his people who were loading the luggage wanted some kind of like luggage handler or something like that, and he was like, why you need it? Just do without it lah. And then one day he went to try it himself, and he was like, you know, okay, I get it. Why you need it? Let's go get one. You know, now his approach wasn't like, okay, I'm going to do it every freaking day, and just to show that I'm part of the team.
Yes.
But his approach is I just do it once and then I know, okay, I get what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right? So it has to be very intentional how we're spending our time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what you say, right? At the end of the day, when you go down to the ground, you're not going to the ground to actually be the problem solver in the sense,
Yes.
but to discover the process so that you can design a system to help people solve the problem.
Yes.
Now, having said that then, if today I'm an entrepreneur, I'm in this particular situation right now, what are some steps or approach that I can use to identify if I am actually being busy with the wrong direction or am I working on the right things, right? Yeah, is there a couple of steps that I can do?
Yes. I think it's very simple. Anything you're doing right now, does it compound? You know, does it actually give you a return on investment of your time in a greater amount down the line? So for example, instead of you solving that problem for that one colleague of mine, right, with a client and solving that, then it's done. Once I solve that, right, bro, the time I spend, 15 minutes, it's burned already, you know. There's no way that is going to come back and return. In fact, you just keep coming back in cost to me. If instead I spend 15 minutes and coaching my team member and say, okay, have you tried this? What can you do? Why not this? And this person handles it and solve it, right? It will compound, you know, that returns 2, 3, 4 times down the line, you know. Next time, right, the client will be able to solve this. He will be able to solve any problem the clients give. Right? So coaching, these one-on-ones and everything, they are far, far more effective than you solving the problem yourself. And I didn't know this in my 20s. I was just chiong only. Because why? Ego likes it, you know. We like to feel like we're power ma. When we do it, then we like our colleagues to look at us and like, wow, that's why you're a boss lah. We like that ma. Right? But it's bad for us and it's bad for the team.
Right.
It's bad for the company. Yeah. It's
Right.
bad for everyone.
That's a very good one, right? I think at the end of the day, sometimes I also have, it's also something, I'm trying to think back for myself, like how was it like? And I think it's something that you will really only learn when you run a business multiple times. I reflect back then, my first venture, I was insurance, you know, I had my own team. And the rest, I was more like that as well. Is when I run Finlit Media, Mr. Money, that I learned not to be like that. But then you face another issue, right? Which is a very typical Chinaman issue. But my staff cannot do it. Yeah. So I know you have a certain set of philosophy when it comes to training staff, handling people. Can you share with me, right? What can an entrepreneur do to build a great team? Because at the end of the day, I think a lot of China businessmen, or you know, the way that we call them China businessmen, is because they have one shop that can sell things very well, but their second shop can never sell things well.
Yeah.
Their operation can never exist without them.
Yes.
Yeah. In your opinion, how to build a team that can scale beyond yourself?
Yeah. So, you know, the saying that saying was saying like, oh, my staff cannot do it, right? That already identifies what the core issue is, right? Which is, the issue is this person that you have there is potentially in the wrong role. And I have this belief, I believe that everyone is good in something, right? So if somebody's underperforming in his role, chances are maybe it's not that this person is necessarily incompetent, but maybe it's just that he's in the wrong role, wrong skill sets, wrong environment that this person will excel in, you know. And in this particular case, when this person cannot do it, right, then the question is, then why is this person still in this role? You know, like, you're fixing that problem would be, a good manager would be, I need to be able to replace this person with this role with someone who can really, really do it well, right? And put this person somewhere else where his best potential is able to show lah. Now, an even greater manager would build a system such that it's very clear already, even without you noticing, that this person cannot do this role. Pre-hiring screening, right? Whether it's like different tests you can do and everything, and if it doesn't do it, if it cannot work well, then you already have systems in place, whether it's through like objective key results or old school KPIs or other feedback loops, right? That can tell you this person cannot already, right? And you need to make a call right now. Because I believe like if someone's not doing a job well, you're not only this person is. If you keep someone on who is not performing, you're also hurting this person's prospects. This person is giving his or her best years of his life to work in a company, but there's no potential future because this person maybe is in the wrong role, the wrong company, wrong industry.
Yeah. I think there was something that recently also I had a very interesting realization. You know, sometimes you complain about stuff, then you talk about them, and then you go like, hey, why this fella not doing their role, everything all. And I used to have this habit where I'll tell my other teammates and say, hey, can you go and tell this person that they're not doing their role? My reason is because I told this person so many times and the person is already desensitized, right? And suddenly it just hit me the other day that, hey, there's the person with the problem right now is actually not that guy anymore. And it's not my staff who's not telling him anymore. It's actually me. Because one of the biggest role of a CEO is actually to build the right team, which means you hire and fire and you make up the team. And by telling my other colleagues to go and tell this person that they're not doing their role, I'm actually outsourcing that job. Yeah. Actually, it should be my responsibility to remove this person or to change this person. And yes, it is difficult. Yeah, it is a difficult conversation. You don't feel good about it and stuff like that. But that is my job. And if I just avoid the job, basically I'm just not doing my job as a CEO.
Yeah, exactly.
It hit me quite hard the other day. And right after that, I think what I did was I started being much more clear about how to remove the wrong people from their position, even though if it hurts. Of course, it doesn't mean that you need to be brutal, right? You just need to be kind in the way you deliver it and maybe replace the person in the right position. At least get out of the way first, right? These are some of the things. Now, how would you suggest an entrepreneur to actually approach this kind of situation? Because I've seen many. Some take 6 months before they make a decision. Some, I've just heard a recent one. He told me that he have this staff under probation for 2 years, right? All because trying to avoid that difficult conversation with them. Now, today as a seasoned entrepreneur, how will you approach this? When you, after go through all the interview, you thought this person could be in the right place and this person landed in that position, but after a while, you gave in everything and you realize this person is just not in the right role. How do you approach this?
I still struggle with that sometimes. I do. So like, I think one way is do it, and why the key struggle is because we're all human also. We all have emotions. We all also still do like that. Like, we still often do care about a person, even if this person is not performing well in the job, right? And maybe sometimes it's just we just don't want to look like the bad guy. Sometimes we don't want to. We don't want to take away somebody's
rice bowl,
rice bowl, you know. So I think that the best way to do it is to at least build systems, right, that make it very clear, such that it removes as much of the human emotion in the decision making, you know. And for me, my approach is always like, okay, I can be kind, I can be firm, and I can be kind at the same time. Being kind is like, okay, this is not working. I can't have you in this job, but take some time to find another job if you want. I'll pay you X amount of salary or something like that, you know, and just like, I'll slowly find another job lah. You know, I have had a colleague that worked with me for many years, and he wanted to get a job. We want a different job, right? And then he applied for a job, and he got it, and he resigned, and okay, we're okay lah, right? And then after that, his offer got retracted. So I said, okay, bro, don't worry, you stay on, but in the meantime, go and job hunt. You need to go interview and everything. And just stay on until you find a good job. I don't want you to just jump on the next available job and you might not get a good job. He stayed on with us for another 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and finally he found a job and he left. And now, the traditional thinking will be thinking that oh yeah, but he'll be checked out already lah. he won't care already. Not necessarily. It also depends on the person.
Right.
You know, some people mentally do check out when they resign, right?
Yeah, and how do you do that? If let's say like I suppose this staff, that 6 months he also still gave you his best, right?
Bro.
Yeah.
But you in that situation, right? And you already resigned already, bro. And suddenly your job offer got retracted. And you are jobless now. And then your boss say, hey, don't worry, bro. You take your time. Would you still check out halfway, or would you still like, okay, I better make sure I'm performing well at this time? And your manager also says, you need to go for a job interview during working hours, go ahead. Don't worry. Come on, bro. We're very open. Don't need to hide it one. You know what I mean? In the thing. You know, so and also another key thing I learned is when people resign, don't take it personally. Sometimes it's about you as a manager, sometimes it really is. But many times it's not, you know.
Yeah.
Some people have different goals, different phases in their life where different priorities happen, you know, and we can't be so narcissistic as leaders to people think that it's about us all the time. Sometimes it is. So we got to ask ourselves first, is it about us? Am I a poor manager? Am I screwed up? Am I messing up something? And if the answer is no, then okay, you have to understand this is about other things and then handle it with grace, you know.
Yeah. I thought that's a very good one because very often as a manager, we tend to take resignation very personally. The first question you ask yourself is that, hey, am I that bad that the person want to leave? But I think the truth is this, right? For everyone to have a career progression, if you put yourself back then in the situation when you're working for people, sometimes you leave not because of the manager. You just leave because there's better opportunity. Yeah. And sometimes this particular company may not provide me that kind of career path that I desire at this point. And therefore I'm willing to let go. And I think as a manager, the best thing to do is actually to let go with grace, right?
Yes.
Actually, in fact, I this particular staff who wanted to go to Singapore and she took quite a long time to search for a job. She did not check out, but junior level enough that when she make mistake, it doesn't really kill the company kind of, right? And in the end, actually, I went to one of our partners there in Singapore and I recommended her a job, right? So I became a referral and she got a job. And very quickly, she got an offer and she had to leave early. Then I was like, okay, then just go early. Yeah. But I've also experienced those that when you let them stay, they actually check out. But it wasn't like the conversation that you had. It was more, I guess they have already checked out. You just kind of know that they are looking for a job already, but they are just taking their sweet time to look for it. But when you have that conversation, they don't tell you they are looking for a job. Yeah, because they don't trust you enough to have that conversation. So I would say there is already a communication breakdown and a trust breakdown to begin with, right? Yeah. But I like your point there, where if your staff already got an offer retracted and you gave him an opportunity to stay, will he check out or not? I think the answer is no. Someone once told me this one thing. Would you trust your life on a surgeon who has never made a mistake operating? Or would you trust your life on a surgeon who have just made a mistake some time ago and really regret it and now is doing the exact same operation the second time? Yeah. And his argument was, maybe the second one is a safer surgeon. The reason being is because he know what did not work and now he'll be extra careful about it. And I guess it's the same, right? Like in that situation there. No. Now, talking about it, you've gone through a lot, both as an entrepreneur, handling people, learning and maturing how to manage a team. You've also gone through chasing a career and then did very well in it, got your exit. Now, let's go back to Nuffnang today and talking about the chase, right? If today Colony receives an offer, another big time check, how do you prepare yourself for it so that it doesn't happen again where when the money lands into a bank account, it is not this nothingness, but rather at least there's some fulfillment. You get what I mean? Yeah. How would you prepare yourself towards that?
2 years ago, we did get an offer that is really, really, really high. We had two offers actually, one higher than the other, right? It's really, really, really high. And I went to my investors and I told them that, for me, I said, okay, my rule is that I don't want to sell everything. You know, I will still want a decent stake. I still want to run it because for me, knowing from that, I still wanted a purpose. I still wanted to do something. I didn't want to just have like, okay, I exit, I leave this money, and then what am I going to do? I still enjoy what I do. I still like my job. I still like the business. So yeah, I went to my investors and I said, do you want or not? So this would mean that some of them would get like 4x returns, and surprisingly, so many of them actually said, no, actually, mine, no need, let's just see where this goes. So we didn't take it for better or worse. I don't know whether this is going to be better or worse. The future will tell, right? But how I prepared myself for that was just that I knew that, okay, you guys can all sell. I'll sell. I could sell some, but I want to have still a significant stake. At least a 20-30% stake left. And I'll still want to run the company lah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, if today I'm an entrepreneur coming to you and I have a business and I could be receiving some offer, what are some inner work preparation that you would suggest me to do to actually think clearly? How do I approach this particular subject?
I think a lot of it is you really have to dive deep into what the offer really is lah. Don't just look at the sticker price lah. Look at like what are the terms and conditions. Is there a profit guarantee? Is there what's the indemnity clauses like? What are the conditions precedent like? All these legal stuff that you already have to go through lah. But ultimately, if you decide you want to sell, then I think really think about I think it's important to think about what does this business give you right now, apart from the money, right? And so I read a story about this Minecraft billionaire. The guy who created Minecraft and sold it for $2 billion to, I think, $2 billion to Microsoft, And he was just very happy. He was like happy because he's the owner of Minecraft, and then he was the creator, and he had this whole community, and he had he was revered lah. And then Microsoft came in with the offer, and he was, I think at that point he was a bit frustrated at his community or something. So he said, you know what, I'm going to sell. He spent $40-50 million buying a Beverly Hills mansion, and then moved there, and then he had the biggest parties or something. But he went into depression, and he actually went into depression because he lost his sense of purpose or importance. He went from being somebody who meant a lot to a group of people to now just being another billionaire. So what does your business give you? If you if you sell today, this company, what is Mr. Money now? Then you stop being Mr. Money. You become back to Peter lah. How does that change your life?
Yeah.
Apart from the money, and are you willing to part with that? And imagine your life without that lah. And if you imagine your life without that and you're comfortable with that, then you can lah.
I think when it comes to that question, it's definitely a lot harder. Or I guess for most audience, if they do not own a business, it is also a question of, if say I get a better offer, right? Don't say like significantly 50-80% difference kind of, right? But generally it's about the same offer in that sense. Yeah, assuming you already got a certain level of comfort. There's also the question about what kind of work environment are you giving up?
Yeah.
What kind of boss are you giving up? What kind of colleagues are you giving up? It is actually more than just the money itself, right? And when you don't think about that, very often you end up going to the next place and you didn't get that thought through that well enough. And sometimes you end up not being happy despite the pay is way higher. Yeah. And I think it's the same thing, right?
That's one of my considerations. Because if I sold, then I would stay for let's say 3 years or something like that, right? And my wife asked me like, okay, if you got this much money, but let's say you're very unhappy with the new management or something like that. Right now you can do what you want, right? But you're very unhappy with the new management, right? How would you feel? Sure, maybe you have a lot more millions in your bank, but how would it feel that you're going in and out dealing with all this new management that you don't like? And you have to do it for 2 or 3 years. Is that 2 or 3 years worth it? And if the answer is no, then why do it? And also it's become part of our identity, today bro, like people invite you out and everything, right? Because you're Mr. Money, right? They want you to speak at conferences and everything. Imagine when you stop being Mr. Money.
Yeah.
Because you don't own that name anymore. It's now someone bought it and paid you a lot of money.
Sold the IPD, right?
Yeah. Someone paid you a lot of money for it. Right?
Yeah. If you invite me, you can't use the name Mr. Money anymore.
Yeah. You can just say, this guy formerly Mr. Money or used to own MrMoney.com or Finlit or something like that, but it takes away that identity. You know what I mean? Like it takes away it takes away that importance that you bring on why people want to meet you. people may want to meet you right now because you have access to an audience. But after this, you don't.
Yeah.
How would you feel? You know?
I think sometimes in life, very often we place a lot of importance on things that we can see because it's so much more easier, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes it's things that's unseen
Yeah.
that has a lot more importance that we don't even know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I guess that's one of the things that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to take a quick pause here and
Yeah.
we're just going to take a 3-4 minute.
Yeah.
We're going to let you try out something called the Selamat Calculator.
Okay.
You know, we always say that there are things in life that are priceless, but sometimes it's really hard to imagine what that really means. So we take it for granted. Selamat is one of them, one of those things we take for granted until. And that's why we work with Volvo to develop this Selamat Calculator. It's an attempt to capture that priceless value in number, what it means to us and to the people we love. In this calculator, you fill in a few things: your role in your family, your role at work, your responsibility to your loved ones, and the dreams that you have not yet fulfilled. We take all of that and we put it through a Selamat formula. We build it specially to try to capture the value of this priceless Selamat, and it gives you your number. That's exactly what we're doing here with our guest today. So try it out for yourself, check out your Selamat value, then sit down with your loved ones and talk about what it means to them. Tim, so just now you tried the Volvo Selamat Calculator. Tell me about it. When you saw the number, what's the first thing across your mind?
It showed 20 over million. So, I don't know. Because I think that the cost of me not being around will actually be felt much more to my family than anyone else. Like my business and everything, my team, they're all very capable. They'll find another job. You know, like the business, you'll figure out a way to run without me at any case, you know, I mean, even then. But my family, they can't replace me lah.
Yeah.
You know, my daughter, my son, me being there for them every day, you know, I think it will materially change their life lah. So to me, I can't put a number on it lah.
It's way more, right?
Yeah, it's like
way more.
It's like if you ask my son. So my son's now like he understands the value of money. He's very into like luxury watches now and all that, right? He loves looking at these things. If you tell him like, okay, I'll give you 100 million, but you lose your father, I can guarantee you he won't take it. Okay, I can't guarantee you. I have to ask him. But I really don't think he'll take it. I really don't think he'll take it. I said, you can be a billionaire today, but lose your father. Maybe I'll go home and ask him this question. I really don't think he'll take it. You ask me, you can give me $10 billion today, but I lose my wife or my kids. Either one. It's just one only. I won't take it.
I did the same thing. A few days back, I asked my son, because he loves Pokemon card now.
Yeah.
So I asked him, Eko, if I give you 100 packets of Pokemon card, but you don't see Papa again, will you take the Pokemon card or will you choose to see Papa? So my son is 8 years old. And I think just by asking him the question, he actually almost cried. And I think here's the thing that's interesting, right? In life, we are actually so much more important than we know we are.
Yeah.
We're so much more valuable than we think we are until when you ask it to your loved ones. Yeah. And so this whole Selamat Calculator, I think one of the things that, as I was working with Volvo to develop this, a big part of it was really to tell people this idea that you are much more valuable than you think you are. And yes, sometimes when you look at the Selamat number, it's so big, right? 20 over million, 30 over million, 40 over million. And some people maybe at the first stance, they'll say, hey, am I worth that much? But if you think deeper, you will realize that actually you're worth even more than the number that is being placed there, right? And so my question for you is this. If you aren't able to get home Selamat, right? Because we talked about a lot of things just now. We talk a lot about investing in a company. We talk a lot about making money, exiting and so on. But a big part of it that you circle back to is a lot of things that we don't see, like mentally preparing yourself, like what is the meaning of life, even if you receive a big bunch of money, but happiness and so on. I was just wondering to myself, why do we forget that the things that we can't see tends to be the most important thing in life?
Like we tend to over-index on things that we can see, right? But the minute you can see something, then people, I'm pretty sure they're convinced, like this table here, we can have no argument that it exists. We all can see it, or we can feel it, we can hear it and everything, So I think being able to see something it plays a very huge part lah in whether we believe in something or not, but that doesn't mean it's not important.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to not, you don't need, for many people all around the world, you don't need to see like, to believe in something.
Now, having said that, talking about things that we can't see, and in the theme of Selamat, I like that idea because I think Selamat is not just about physical safety, but also sometimes peace, right?
Yeah.
A mental safety. And we talk a lot about that in this whole podcast just now. Can you share with me, like, maybe one of the things that we can do as an individual to actually make sure we protect this peace or this Selamat that we can't see? Is it journaling, or maybe it could be like certain steps that we take and so on?
For me, it's always been about like people. It's always about surrounding yourself with the right people. The really, I can't explain it enough. The right people, right, will really like lift you up, whereas the wrong people will always like make you feel low, cheap, or not good enough.
Oh.
And there are people like that. There are people that maybe they're narcissists or something like that that feel the need to put you down for them. It's part of their condition, maybe, but those people, it's like we just need to be able to separate ourselves from them, lah. It's not their fault they're like that, but you just need to be able to surround yourself with people that lift you up, lah.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Investing your time in the right people, right?
Yeah.
So that you can keep that Selamat in the head.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah. For those of you who are interested in trying out the Selamat Calculator to see how much is your Selamat worth, you can check it out in the link in the description. Now, back to our show. So Tim, going back to your story, we talked a lot about building a new business and stuff like that. Can you share with me, like this time round building Colony, what is your goal? How is it different from back then?
I just want to build a cash generating asset, lah. One that just generates cash flows every year. And that can run without me even. So it's not something that's built entirely on my personality or my individual contributions, lah. That's my goal, lor. That's my hope, lor.
Yeah. And why do you think this will make you happy? Because you also mentioned that, like, money to a certain extent, you have already achieved a certain amount, right? It's to a certain extent, it's okay as well. Yeah. And so why? Like, what is it about this Colony that is going to make you happy beyond just cash flow?
It's an avenue for me to be able to help the people who work with us. So I had a colleague recently that really needed some help, and then the company was just outright able to go and help him financially in a meaningful way, and he just broke down and cry. Like, imagine if being able to help. We can't help everyone that way, but can we help people who work with us day in and day out? We can. And the only way we'll be able to do that is that if you have a company that generates some level of cash every year, lah, that allows to fund these things. So I think that's meaningful, lah, for me. For me, it's just about, I can't make everyone's life better, and I don't have the ambition to do something so great and grand, but I have been able to make the lives of some people around me better, significantly better, really, really significantly better, and that's good enough for me.
Right. You've gone through a lot in life. If today someone were to ask you, how would you redefine success? How would you define that today?
I think it's really the small things that we take for granted sometimes. It's about like being able to love who you spend your day with. If you enjoy the company of your co-workers, the people you work with, your customers and everything, things go so good, If you come home and you come home to a home of love, it's just good, Like that's why I say, like, if things were not good between me and my wife, for example, and I have the feeling where I dread going home because it goes into a high tension environment, heck, no money in the world would make that feel better. there's nothing like going home to a home of warmth lah. You know, and I think that's what it really is about lah. You know, everything else, the money and everything contributes to it. It helps. It gives you options. Actually, what it really does is that it gives you options. You know, but it alone is not going to help you have all this.
If we talked about Audrey earlier, yeah. This is your second time or at least third time or whatever it is. Not the first time you're being a very famous person.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like when you started posting up videos and a lot of people started talking about it, I had to remind people that, hey, you guys know that Tim used to be the OG of influencers, right? So this is not the first time that he got famous, but it's the first time that he got even more famous with video. So everyone can recognize his face. Yeah. So this guy actually knows media very well. How's it like being famous the second time?
Okay, the influence that influencers today have has really grown exponentially in the past 10 years. Like how much power they have, how much face time, how much attention they can get, how much money influencers can earn. It's very different from my first phase, you know, my first experience. I mean, it's not that common 10 years ago. People like you are building out an influencer, building a company around you, you know. And that, you know, it's not very common now, but it's not unheard of now.
Yeah,
people do that.
It's getting more common.
So I mean, it's the opportunities and the manner in which having influence online has the ability to change one's life is insane lah. It's really, really insane lah.
Yeah.
For me, I get very flattered every time I go out and then people say like, hey, hi, can I take a photo and everything? You know, I love your content and everything. I get very, very flattered, and I like it lah. I feel very honored. I enjoy it. It helps with my low self-esteem and self-hate maybe sometimes, but but I know it will also end. It ended the first time round. It will end again this time round, and I'm just waiting. I'm just preparing myself that when it ends, I need to make sure that it's not part of my identity. You know, that I don't feel like it is a part of me. I don't dress differently. I don't live differently. You know, because I don't want my lifestyle to change to that identity, because I know that I will lose it one day. And if I make it part of my identity and I lose that, then I will lose myself lah.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to happen.
And how do we prevent that?
I think number one is just know that this is not going to last. So always be humble throughout it. Don't, you know, when you're influencer, right, and you have a lot of people like, you know, it's like, it's very easy to lose yourself. You have people telling you all the time that I love your stuff. You're the best. They follow you. You feel like you're damn special, you know. You feel like you're the chosen one, you know, right? But I think it's very important to know that yes, you're the chosen one right now, but tomorrow someone else is going to be the chosen one.
Yeah.
You know, and are you okay with that? And knowing that, then be humble, be kind, be appreciative for what we have.
Yeah.
Right? And just prepare for the day it leaves you.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about Audrey in the early of this episode. And Audrey has gone through with you many moments of her life, right? Ups and downs. And until recently, you shared that she mentioned about not being present because of the newfound fame and the busyness and everything all. Can you share with us, like, what do you think Audrey sees in you that many people don't?
I think the thing that attracts her the most about me is I'm kind. You know, I think more than anything else. I think like she'll be okay with everything else. If I'm not that rich, if I'm not successful or anything like that, you know, but I think she will not be able to deal if I'm not kind. If she sees that somebody needs help and I don't want to help because I feel like, no lah, you know, this person don't need lah. You know, or this person is like that because it's his own choice, choosing or choice, something like that. If I'm not kind, I think she would not love me lah.
Right.
You know, I think that's the most important thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I think to close this whole interview, this whole podcast, if today there's one thing that someone is a founder listening to this, if there's a founder listening to this tonight, today? Sorry. If there's a founder that's listening to this particular episode, what's the one thing that you think should be the takeaway for him or her?
I think when you see the relative success of people, I think we have to always remember that things always tend to look better on the outside than they do on the inside. The imagination is always greater than actual reality. And I had a friend recently who was like, just telling me this week, it's like, I'm very down because my business is not so good this year. But all my other friends in our group, we're all doing very well this year. And I said, yeah, bro, but do you know that 2 years ago, you were doing so well and everyone else was not doing well? But you were doing so well. And they said, really? I thought you were doing well, Tim. I said, no. Why do you think that? I wasn't, because why? Like, Colony was making money, but we're losing all that money into all the investments we're making. I haven't had a cent of dividend. I haven't been personally increasing my savings for the past 9 years. And maybe now I've been doing well for the past 1 year. But you don't see the past 9 years when I haven't. So I told him that and he was like, wow, okay, I didn't know that. And I wish more people can see that. Sometimes we will go through periods of like 10 years and then maybe 9 years we just struggle. But all we need to do is just hang in there, because all we need is that 1 year to come back, and that could make all the difference.
Right.
Yeah, and more likely or not, we always have, most of us will live life in that 9 years of not doing well than that 1 year of doing well. That's just the way odds are. Life is just harder most of the time, I think.
All right. Thank you very much, Tim, for joining us in this episode.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.